Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Chris. It is party time. This is a request video. This is video number 4 that I have filmed tonight, and I poured myself a little glass of wine. It is 5 o'clock on Friday, and this is a request video. Somebody asked me if I could do a video based on good fragrances to wear to a holiday party. And I'm telling you what, it was a long week. I am ready to think about holiday parties. And so I pulled roughly 9 or 10 perfumes that I'm going to wear at some sort of function or gathering that I have planned for the month of December. Now I work at a hospital. I work at a couple different hospitals, and the hospitals always have a holiday party. So I have 2 or 3 that I'm probably going to be going to, may or may not be going to. My husband has a work party to go to, so I'm going to be wearing these fragrances to some little get-together and shindigs in the month of December. So how about we talk about some of those? And oh my goodness, I hope this doesn't turn my teeth purple. If it turns my teeth purple, so be it. So the perfumes that I'm going to pick, a lot of it has to do with what I'm wearing that night. If I'm dressing up, if I'm going really dressing to the nines, and what is the weather like? Is it super, super cold? That is, for the most part, going to determine which perfume I wear, and also the company that I keep. Who am I going to be around? I don't want to wear something that's overly offensive if the get-together is going to be nice and intimate. If it's going to be at somebody's house, whereas if I'm going to be in a big ballroom, wearing something that has more of a punch to it is less of an issue. So I've got fragrances that are feminine leaning, I've got fragrances that are unisex, and I have some banger fragrances for the men in my audience for some December parties. So let's get this party started. When I think of dressing up, I'm thinking of dressing to the nines. I always default to an amber. To me, ambers are such a beautiful and elevated fragrance. And for the longest time, when I went to somewhere dressed up, my perfume of choice was Amber 114 from Histoire de Parfum. My fragrance collection is a lot bigger, so I have more to choose from, but I always go for the ambers. And if I'm going, if the weather's cold and I decide to dress to the nines, one of the first ones I'm going to be wearing is this beauty right here. My cap's a little wonky. It's Benjoin Boheme. Masterpiece level amber right here. I love resins. Resins make up an amber accord, and I love a heavy benzoin. One of my favorite perfumes is called Caftan by Yves Saint Laurent. Has a very heavy benzoin note. So does this beauty here. So it's very amber rich and benzoin heavy. I adore it. It has a very smooth cinnamon, but there is a cinnamon spiciness to it, but it's not like cinnamon stick in your face. It's blended to perfection in this perfume. Again, I think that this is an amber masterpiece. It's gorgeous. This one has some heavy notes, but it wears on the lighter side, so I can smell strong and pretty and beautiful and heady and not kill people when I walk in a room. So Benjoin Boheme is for one of the more dressed up occasions. If I'm going somewhere and it's a more intimate affair, for example, my husband's Christmas party has always been at his boss's house in the basement. Now they have a big basement. So I don't want a perfume that's going to be stuffy or too overbearing. Now, if it's really, really cold and I decide to dress up, I'm going to go with this one right here, Black Tie by Celine. A soft, powdery, musky, elegant vanilla. There's orris in here. Not overly prominent, just adds to the butteriness, kind of the smoothness, the butteriness. It's got a little bit of cedar in the base. Supporting note, not star of the show. The star of the show is a vanilla, but the vanilla is very, very soft and musky. I almost feel like I get the slightest touch of like a rum-soaked tobacco. Now, not tobacco in the usual sense, but very soft rum-soaked tobacco in the background. As it dries down, it becomes slightly more powdery, a little bit more woody, and it gets sweet. So an elegant, upscale fragrance that I would wear at a more formal occasion, but a more intimate occasion, because this wears lightly. This is not loud and doesn't have great performance. I want to lay it on a little bit heavy before I go, so that at least I can detect its presence, you know, for at least 4 to 5 hours. Beautiful perfume. Now, if I'm going to be dressed to the nines and going somewhere this December, a party or even the ballet, I always take my daughter to the ballet to the Nutcracker, and we always get dressed up. She may not want to go this year. She may be too cool for the whole thing. But if I go and I get dressed up and it's cold, I'm going to be pulling for this beauty right here. The Dapper Mr. Thompson, which is an iris-based fragrance, but it has some beautiful, warm notes. It's got sesame. It's very peppery. It's aromatic. It has lavender. Oh gosh, this is just such a beautiful, warm, peppery iris that's got lavender and sesame. It's very warm, very strong, very rich. It definitely starts off, I would say, leaning in the masculine zone. Some people might think it leans masculine, but over time, I think it becomes a little bit lighter, more gentle, more airy. It's got a little bit of geranium in here, but that burns off. And I really just get that beautiful vanilla coming out more. It becomes more powdery, more resinous, slightly woody. Definitely cedar or sandalwood in the base. I love that sesame. That sesame gives it this sexy warmth. It's gorgeous. I am loving sesame and perfumes, and it is so beautiful in here. Very nutty. Has this gorgeous nuttiness without being headache inducing. Another one that wears lightly. These portraits are not powerhouses. A lot of people may get ticked off about that, but none of them are powerhouses, so you do need to know that. But I just love the scent profile. It's a gorgeous dressed up perfume for a good party. Now, if I'm going to a party, I want to be the best smelling person in a room. The room is big and I can wear something strong and I want to turn heads and make my presence known. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to pick this one right here. It is Alexandrite N Patchouli by EBK. Hands down, one of my favorite patchoulis of all time. This is very unique. This patchouli is not messing around. It has some lighter notes in the top. There's linen, there's linden blossom, there's a little bit of mimosa. They are blended to perfection. They do not come out strongly. They just lift up this patchouli, which keeps it from being way too heavy. The patchouli is earthy, but it's not dirty. And it's definitely not chocolatey. There's a linen note in here, which gives it a little bit of brightness and the slightest touch of some citruses, again, in the background. This has one of the best dry downs of any fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. The dry down is to die for. It's a little strong in the opening, one of my most complimented fragrances, which surprises the heck out of me. I've never been more complimented by a fragrance when I wore this. Literally, my friends, coworkers were walking down the hall and asking me what I was wearing and went further to ask me for a decant, and I made a decant for a couple people at work. A little bit of this goes a long way. Fabulous. The only reason I don't like to talk about EBK too much because they're a little bit hard to buy from, but I've seen lots of samples on Etsy. I've seen samples on Mercari, and they have a discovery set. You just have to message them through Facebook or Instagram to make your transactions. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I have purchased 4 or 5 bottles from them, had 0 problems. I did not want to talk about it for that reason. I'm just being honest, but I'm just telling you, if I want to be the best smelling person in the room, turn heads, and smell like $1 million, I'm going to choose Alexandrite N Patchouli. Now, if I don't want to turn heads, I want to be a people pleaser. I don't want to offend anybody. I want to wear something that smells good to me, but is not going to offend anybody. Wear it softly, and people will not smell me as I'm entering into the room, is one of my all-time favorites. I've talked about this 10 million gajillion times, but I'm going to reach for Architects Club, a beautiful aromatic woody vanilla. In my opinion, the best aromatic woody vanilla. So the point of view, this is basically a vanilla lemon martini. The point of view is a bunch of architects, they get together after work, they go to this really snazzy bar, and they're in the bar, not a lot of smoke. They're seated at a booth. The chairs are in velvet, wood on the panels, and they're all sipping a martini and smelling a delicious vanilla. So the aromatics in here is a juniper, or our juniper berries. So juniper berries, the slightest touch of like orange or orange rind. And then it's this spectacular woody vanilla. The vanilla in here is a gourmand vanilla, but it is not foody, it's not sickly sweet, because of the countering woody notes. There are very strong balancing woods, Gaiac wood, and I'm pretty sure cedar and or oak. And then the aromatic notes lift it up a little bit, give it a little bit of brightness. I do love that juniper. This smells remarkably similar to Eau d'Huile. So if you have one, you don't need the other. I had both and wore them side by side a dozen times, and I always preferred this one. It's a little bit more vanillic. The vanillic is slightly a touch more sweet and gourmand, but again, a non-gourmand aromatic woody vanilla that I absolutely adore, and it wears lightly, so it's not going to overpower people. Perfect if you're going to be around a bunch of people. Very pleasant smelling. I think that tobacco kind of screams holidays, and one of my very favorite tobaccos right now is one by Maissa. It's just called Tobacco. I used to not like tobacco because I think it was too smoky, too harsh, and lean too masculine, and then I found several tobacco fragrances that I love, and I'm going to do a tobacco honey fragrance video sometime in the next couple weeks. This is definitely one of my favorite. It has lots of gourmand notes in here, and it's going to put you in the ballpark of a gourmand tobacco like Tobacco Vanille. However, it's less sweet. It's not as sweet. It's slightly more woody, and to me has the slightest, very pleasant cola vibe. It has this nice spicy effervescence to it, but is a sweet vanillic tobacco with gentle spices. I absolutely love this. This screams holiday to me. This screams holiday. This would be great in any holiday outing, get together, party, shopping, you name it. I love it. All right, I've got 3 more. I've got a couple for my male viewers out there. Now, one is unisex leaning masculine and one is masculine, and I absolutely adore it. I love this thing. This is called 2-6 Elixir, the very first fragrance that came out from Coastal Carolina Perfumes, and the one that put that fragrance house on my map. I smelled this. I bought this blindly. They were having a sale, some holiday. I bought it and just about died when I smell it because I thought this was fantastic. So this is a spicy vanilla with tobacco and wood. So another vanillic tobacco, but it does not smell like Tobacco Vanille or Maissa Tobacco. This is more spicy. It's a little bit more darker. It has more depth. It's a little bit more woody. Maybe it has more labdanum, maybe a little bit of leather. And again, this leans masculine. I think it is marketed towards men. This is spectacular. I pulled it out of Pat's closet because I gave it to him. I absolutely love it, and I think he smells fantastic when he wears it, and I would love for somebody to show up at a holiday party and smell like this. Fantastic. I cannot recommend this more highly. And the last party fragrance is one that leans masculine. It is called Jazz Club, and this one is almost empty because Picky Pat, Mr. Pat, loves this, and I'm going to buy him a full bottle for Christmas because he absolutely loves this. And this is kind of his party fragrance. It's one of the ones when he goes out. He went to Vegas and he asked me to put this in a little decant so he could take it to Vegas. It's kind of his jazzy, his dressed up fragrance. Another one that is a tobacco-y vanilla perfume, but this is boozy. This has a booziness to it. It's more resinous, it's more boozy, it's not as sweet. And there's a tobacco in here, but it's not overly smoky, so definitely unisex leaning, but I think more men than women would be drawn to it or want to wear it. I think it's gorgeous. I like it. I like it more on him. And this I like better than By the Fireplace, which is overly smoky. That's super, super smoky. This one I just think is easier to take, particularly if you're going to be around other people. It's smoother, less smoky, and it has a nice pepperiness to it. I want to say pink pepper. So, I have one more. And finally, it's not really a party that I'm going to go to, but I know the perfume I'm going to wear for Christmas evening. I'm going to go to some family member's house and I'm going to have dessert. Totally Baby It, my favorite chocolate perfume at the moment. It is a gorgeous gourmandy chocolate that's not overly gourmandy. It has some rose in it. It's got, rose, chocolate, it has a dustiness, it has a booziness to it, a little bit of rum. It's just a perfectly composed, I don't know if you could do a chocolate fragrance more perfectly. To me, this is like a hot chocolate that you would get, like a fancy hot chocolate you would get in some European, by a European barista who makes like 10 coffees a day. And he made you this like hot cocoa, this boozy hot cocoa he made this boozy hot cocoa and put a shot of artisanal chocolate inside. and there was roses sitting at the table. It's so ridiculously beautiful, and a perfume that I'm going to wear when I go, a perfume that I'm going to wear with my little family get together. And if I do any baking over the holidays, I'm going to be wearing this while I'm baking. It just is perfect for that. And that's it. Those are my party fragrances for tonight's video. So tell me what you think. Can you add anything to this list? And if so, what? We'd all love to hear down below. Thanks for the opportunity to whomever asked me to do this video. This was really fun and a great video to do for the month of December. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.